Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, welcome back to the Danger Ranger podcast. This is episode 14, and we are on today with a special guest, Logan from Americana Pipedream, the man in the surplus game whose flow is just out of the hand. He's got a better flow than I do. You know, take your hat off, show it off.
Oh Lord. I got hat hair from the past 2 days. It's not good. And of course, Aiden is here as well. He's my business partner.
Off camera for right now. He might pop on and say what's up, but go ahead and just let the people know a little bit about your background, like how you grew up, where you grew up, and then kind of how you got started in the surplus game.
Absolutely. So born and raised central Wisconsin, been here my entire life. Uh Dropped out of college at 18, decided fuck it, why not start a company. At first we were printing t-shirts, that kind of thing, and then eventually we got into surplus. Military history was always kind of a passion of mine. I went to college as a history major for half of a semester. So I was kind of like, well, I know a fair bit about Instagram and social media marketing. Might as well put those two talents or passions to use. And about almost 2 years later now, we've got a warehouse, two employees, and like I said, I've got Aiden, my business partner.
That's rowdy. So you said you started off printing t-shirts. Was that like screen printing or like that heat transfer stuff?
Yeah, really funny story. Actually, we had our own heat press
Okay.
that we tried to use, and the quality was just really bad. Like I could not conscionably sell it to people because it would
Mm-hmm.
like come off in the wash after one wash cycle. So we started working with a local t-shirt printing shop. And t-shirt designs didn't really sell all that well, so we got a little bit into like knives and the pipe hawks that you have. We started selling those. That was like one of our first most popular products, which I thought was really funny because it was super niche, not really something that appeals to a whole bunch of people. And then a couple months later, we got hooked up with our biggest wholesaler now, Sturm USA, and they import a bunch of surplus from Europe. And we kind of just got on that train because it's durable, it's affordable, and also it's recycling old clothes that would have otherwise gone into like a burner or just been thrown in the garbage, which textile waste is huge in terms of pollution and all that stuff. So it's always good to find that stuff a good home.
Yeah, absolutely. How did the I'm gonna take a guess here and say that the name Americana Pipe Dream came initially from the pipes you guys were selling.
Kind of, sorta. I remember the conversation I had with one of my friends who was a partner at the beginning of the company, but kind of moved away from the company after a while. I remember we were coming back from a Cabela's trip and we were in the car and I was just kind of like, I want to start selling t-shirts and I kind of wondered what the name should be. And I wanted it to have kind of like an Americana theme, but then also kind of allude to like a pipe dream, like something that's an aesthetic kind of thing rather than just a tangible like company name, like, oh yeah, we make holsters or t-shirts or whatever. So I was just like, okay, Americana and Pipe Dream, that works. And then we just kind of ran with it because it's a unique name, it's not something you see every day, and I don't know, I just feel like it represents the brand really well.
No, absolutely. I definitely agree because you've got a lot of aside from the surplus, you got like a lot of vintage flannels and military U.S. military surplus as well as some kind of odds and ends there. You got like Western kind of paraphernalia that I've seen come up through the store from time to time.
Yeah, and the name doesn't limit us to just one thing. It makes us very
Mm-hmm.
flexible, so we can do, like you said, vintage clothing. Manufacture our own clothing, which is in the works. Books, pipes, all that kind of stuff, and we're not just limited to one particular niche.
Gotcha. So, how does importing surplus work? Do your suppliers handle all like the customs documentation, or is that something you guys have to handle yourselves?
Um, it depends because we have a couple overseas contacts that we work with directly. And in cases like that, we're in charge of setting up, the customs brokerage, shipping. all that kind of thing. Recently, we've been working with a logistics company to kind of help smooth that process, because when you start importing a lot, it can get a little hairy and confusing, especially when it's from countries with a language barrier or something like that. So that's been helpful, but otherwise that wholesaler kind of takes care of the entire import process. But sometimes there's stuff that's high priority for us and not so much for them. So we go ahead and just import some of that stuff ourselves to make it easier.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So I know that Aiden's got a little bit of a business background, and then you said you dropped out of college yourself.
Mhm.
How did you have you done any like formal study on your own, or has all your knowledge that you've gained just been on the fly and out there just in the trenches?
In terms of actual business experience, Aiden definitely has a lot more than me. I mean, he grew up with an entrepreneurial family, and I'm sure if you want to chime in, you can at any point.
Yeah.
Um, but really, it's just been the learning experience because prior to that, uh, I worked like a blue collar trade job, and then uh, I pushed carts at a local grocery store when I was like 15 or 16. Um, so not a whole lot in the realm of business experience. I didn't take any high school business classes. I didn't have that in mind when I graduated high school or even was applying for colleges. I mean, I went to Gettysburg College for the history program because, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, they have a really good history program. I thought that that was what I was going to want to do. But then I took a look at the cost of college tuition and average pay of like someone who has a history degree. And I was like, no, that's not going to work. That's just
Ain't
not.
it, Chief?
Yeah. But yeah. Aiden, if you want to talk,
Yeah, I can.
go ahead.
I
You've
can
got more
chime
of a formal education in business than I
Yeah,
do.
I'll scoot over. Um, at least for like a lot of the stuff that we do on a daily basis, from like the importing aspect to getting new wholesalers and networking. I mean, that's kind of been learned over time. And I will say Logan has done a really good job of being able to pick that up and handle a lot of that, especially with our first couple of wholesale accounts that we started with. And Sturm slash Crazy Crow were our first two, and they've been with us since day one.
Mhm.
But when I, at least the kind of the reason too that I wanted to get involved in the company, and when I got involved in the company, we weren't doing a ton of sales. I think it
Yeah.
was,
It was,
we
yeah, like a couple $100 a month was
yeah, it was we were rocking it. We're like, oh, let's go. So like
yeah.
I've had a few smaller like startup things or like side hustles, I would say, that I've done kind of as I grew up. Like I used to fix phone screens on the side, and I started like a little business locally. So I've always had that drive and passion for kind of doing something that like at least drove my passion to improve someone's lives, whether that's fixing their phone or selling them a product to help them, with better their lives with technology or whatever that is. And I used to work for Best Buy too for a long time, and that really drove my sales passion. And when Logan dropped out of college, I went to a tech school here in Appleton. And we kind of just relinked, and you and Jack had the company going. I thought it was really cool, and I was like, I'd like to be a part of that, and I think I could help out. And it's kind of been a roller coaster since then. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, and we've known each other since middle school too.
Okay.
So not like a new thing at all.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, yeah, how'd you guys meet? But
Yeah, my
that kinda
earliest
covers it.
memories of this man walking into our tech ed classroom with his finger cut off.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I lost my well, I didn't lose them, they sewed them back on. But I had a little snowblower accident in middle school. That was I was kind of known for losing my fingers, but it was pretty funny. Not
Gnarly.
funny, but funny now,
Yeah.
Did it help you pick up chicks?
Not really. I mean, the story's cool, but like, I mean, it is your hand, and that's kind of aesthetically pleasing thing, So I wouldn't say that it really helped me in that department that much, but definitely taught me not to stick your hand in a snowblower. So
Yeah.
Wisconsin
problem. I was literally gonna say that. Is there ever any a time that one of you will like want to do something and the other person will just look at them straight up and be like, hey, that's stupid? Like, no.
Honestly, not really. We work together really, really well, and like we're able to talk through problems really well, which I feel like a lot of people our age can't do. You just have to have that understanding where it's like you're never going to be upset to the point where it's like we're not going to talk. Like, we have to be able to communicate really well, and part of that sometimes involves saying things that maybe the other person might not like to hear, but I'm here for it. And
Yeah, we've each had our dumbfounded moments, I think,
Mhm.
and we kind of keep each other in line a little bit, and that's
Yeah.
kind of part of it. It's almost
Mhm.
as if we're like a married couple, as we say. But it's an adventure, it really is, and we do get along really well. And I think if that wasn't the case, I don't think that this would have
No.
happened, and we've been able to
No.
grow the brand / community where it is today. So
Yeah.
For sure. So you guys have imported some pretty unique pieces of surplus. Is there, and a lot of it, doesn't really get thoroughly checked before they ship it out. What's been like the craziest thing you found on a piece of equipment, or like inside of the pockets, or anything like that? Is there anything that absolutely just wild that was maybe a little bit scary or maybe a little bit disconcerting that you found?
I'd say the top two culprits there are going to be either the Yugo helmets.
Yeah, so I was gonna
Those
say.
are interesting, or just because of the amount that we've seen, the Flecktarn parkas, because they don't clean those things before they surplus them.
Oh
Sometimes
no.
we'll find like cigarette butts in there or used ear pro,
All sorts of great
is
stuff.
really fun. And one time we sold a customer a Flecktarn field cap, like super cheap.
Oh,
those are like
yeah.
those are like $10. They're super cheap. They're great, but dude sent us a picture after he received it. Somebody in the Bundeswehr had just written the word penis in the top of the cap,
Yeah.
super big, which was really interesting. Nothing that's like terrible or like diminishes the quality. It's just interesting sometimes to see what's there.
Did he end up sending it back, or does he like, this is hilarious?
No, he loved it.
a lot of our customers love, actually, as long as it's not, like I said, some of the Serbian helmet stuff, there's some war crime and stuff that's involved with that. So it's a little more sentimental value, which can be pretty cruel, especially if you compare like the history that happens with that and then that piece that you're giving out. But a lot of people do appreciate, like, especially like patches and stuff on, like, we get a lot of different patches that come through, whether it's on the Flecktarn, parkas, jackets, field shirts, even the Croatian field shirts. And they love that kind of unique style because it's kind of like a one-on-one piece, not another one's going to have that or that emblem on it. So
yeah, because sometimes you'll get shirts with like a deployment patch on it where you can like nail down like where it was issued or where it was worn, and that stuff is just super cool.
Nice. I'm trying to think what else I want to ask you, because I had a whole list in my head and I didn't write them down, which is a little unprofessional of a podcast host, but
it happens.
But yeah, we also have, and Logan did say, just to bring up the jacket, and since he's wearing it, I do want to point out it is a really big thing that we have worked really hard on. Logan has put a lot of his time as well in developing our first work jacket, and we are really excited. That's probably one of the biggest things, at least in our book, this coming year, that at least product standpoint that we're coming out with. And so that's been a really big work in progress as well. And we may even be working as a partnership too with a really cool company that we've been working with as well on
okay
that. So
are you wearing the shirt right, or the jacket right now?
Yeah, this is our first prototype. This is our first that we got. This has been a work in progress for over a year.
Yeah, we haven't shared too much about it, so I thought I'd touch on that because it's been.
I'm super excited, especially after getting like hands-on with the sample. After picking the fabrics, picking the design, making some changes to it from the original jacket that we based it on. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a really cool thing. So
that's awesome. Are you guys just ordering in bulk, or are you guys gonna do like a pre-order?
Yeah, we have a philosophy around here. We don't sell anything unless we have it in hand,
or try to. There are inventory mistakes that happen. That's part of doing business.
But yeah, that's generally our policy. But we haven't brought it to the point of production yet. Like, after getting this sample, there are some things we still need to work on, because at the end of the day, we're trying to provide something that's going to be like the jacket, where if you're outside, like chopping wood, or like you have like an outdoor job where, you need a durable jacket that'll fit all your stuff and won't tear, keep you warm, all that kind of thing. We want to make it as good as we possibly can, because at the end of the day, this is the first time we've really put our brand on something.
That's uniquely
yeah.
ours and designed by us.
Yeah.
And it's really important, at least in our eyes, that we are able to deliver something that's equivalent to the quality of a lot of the surplus we get in, because a lot of that is military grade, if not higher, especially, you know, being that it's new, we'll have to charge more, especially to compete against even our own line of clothes that we have, the surplus that we carry. So it's going to be, we're just really excited for it, because we've worked a lot on it. So
yeah, it's been a long time coming, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll have a little bit of a unique marketing challenge to it, because people are kind of used to these surplus kind of prices. So you're going to have to really drive home like, hey, this is made in America. This is, you know, custom designed by us and all that good stuff, to make sure people aren't like, oh, I want it to be $25.
Yeah, and we really struggle too. We haven't quite settled exactly where we're actually going to make the jacket yet, just because, you know, there is a pretty huge discrepancy of actually manufacturing in the United States versus outsourcing or internationally, compared to domestic. But we just haven't gotten to that point yet. We would like to have it manufactured in the United States, but I just don't know, depending on price point, if that's
yeah, and it's kind of a shame, like, being into vintage clothing and selling it and all that good stuff. It's really a shame to see how the American textile industry has just kind of like gone down the shitter, like, completely. Like, it's non-existent, or it's too expensive, or, you know, there's just other complicating factors that make it difficult to work with compared to overseas manufacturers sometimes.
Well, it's been a very big challenge with us, and especially even just trying to, because we've never gone through the process of, you know, manufacturing a product before, learning just the steps of even, one, finding a manufacturer, two, you know, how does that product have to be laid out, you know, the blueprint for the product, sizing, all of that, and just going through the whole process, and then, you know, actually being able to deliver a product that can be reproduced by someone. But it's been fun. It's been a journey. So that's why we've are hyped about it, just because we know it's going to be awesome, and we have quite a lot in store for it. So it's going to be coming up. So
yeah, and that's going to open a lot of doors too. I'm very, very excited. There's a bunch more that we have planned that we can't really talk about, but
yeah.
Hey, I'm all for the OPSEC. You keep it as hush as you need to.
Exactly.
I'm definitely gonna have to pick one up though. It looks pretty sick just from what I can see. Is it waterproof or water resistant?
I haven't tested that yet.
Okay.
I've basically been living in this for the past week. I think there was one day where I didn't wear it.
The fabric blend is a little bit water repellent, but like it will still saturate it in. We haven't decided to. We might treat it even with like a I can't remember what the exact chemical was.
There are a couple different waterproofing solutions that we could use, but at the end of the day, it would come down to how much that would cost in addition to like the base manufacturing, and whether to ask customers to pay more just for that waterproofing, when really you could just do it yourself. That's what I do with a lot of my clothing. Just get like a spray on canvas waterproofing solution and it's good to go. But depending on the direction we go, we could definitely come out with something that would be a little more purpose built for like rainy weather or something like that. Because I know a lot of our customers are from places where it rains more, quite frankly. So that consideration is definitely coming into play when we're designing our stuff.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, you can always, like you were saying, you can always just waterproof it after with even wax. Like there's things like beeswax or something. If it's like a canvas or closer to like a canvas base, that works really well. So what's the average day in the life of the crew at Americana Pipedream? How long are you guys working? How crazy does it get? Is there like a set schedule, or is it kind of just, you know, go with the flow?
Yeah, you can start off.
Yeah, we don't really have much of a set schedule. So our two employees, we've known them since middle school. You know, we're a team of 4 people, pretty small, 2,500 square foot warehouse. So we're not like some massive company with concrete schedules or anything like that. But we're always here long enough to make sure that everything that needs to be done gets done, because, you know, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to customer service or fulfilling orders, the customer is who keeps the lights on. So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that what they expect of us is done. So, you know, we're usually here like 9 a.m. to like 6 or 7 ish.
Depends. Our business, like our actual business hours for like pickups, deliveries, stuff like that, is between 10 and 6 p.m., 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we're 100% here, but then give or take,
Mhm.
an hour or so.
Yeah.
And normally, especially Mondays and Tuesdays, because there's always catch up days a lot from the weekend, because we like to take a little bit of time off because there is still that work balance you need to just for the mental health
Mhm.
aspect of it. But those days we're typically here. We normally here almost 10 to even sometimes
11,
12
yeah.
hours. They can be long days. And our employees, which are Ian and Mac, they
Mhm.
have helped us a lot.
Yeah,
And it's been
Mhm.
crazy, and we wouldn't be able to keep up with what we're doing
Mhm.
without them as well.
No, no. And I
And they
don't know.
keep the job interesting as well.
Yeah,
They are
too.
goofballs. They are
Yeah.
goofballs.
Yeah, coming from someone who's never had employees before, oh man, it's
Yeah.
interesting sometimes.
It is.
I mean, you're what, 22 now or 23,
Yeah,
Logan?
he's 21, I'm 20.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of 20-year-olds out there who've got employees, so it's like you're
It's
out there
been a
doing it.
I'm really grateful for it, and I'm sure Aiden would say the same thing because like
It's a blessing.
I'd rather be doing this than working for someone else, so I can never complain.
And I always look at too, like we're able to support, at least the income of, even though they're our friends at the moment, but hopefully even, expand our team to 10, 20, 30, even 50 members, hopefully in the future. And just being able to support them and know that we're helping the lives of other people, as along with our customers too. It's just an awesome feeling to have overall, that we're able to just do something awesome for our friends and family, and I mean everyone out there too. That's what our goal is to improve people's outdoor experience and entertainment. So, and give them a little laugh throughout the day, as well as maybe learning something too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I will say that y'all's Instagram page is probably one of the best organically marketed pages I've ever seen. Like the quantity of the content, as well as the quality and uniqueness of everything that you guys have done on that for your own goods, or promoting the surplus stuff, is just awesome to see. Is there who's the head guy behind that? Logan, I know you said you were the one that's kind of more interested in that.
I do most, if not all, of like the Instagram marketing. Just because of how like the workflow is broken up. Generally, it's going to be me, but Aiden will also hop on there, and then sometimes our employees will be involved with that also.
Logan's got all the memes. Majority of the memes you see, and a lot of the handcrafted memes that is from this big brain guy over here. There, I wish I was as good as creating memes as him, but it's just not my forte. But yeah, I get a kick out of him. So
yeah, I've got, actually, come to think of it, probably about a quarter of my life I've spent doing some form of Instagram page marketing. In high school, me and a couple of my friends had a meme page, and then I had like a military history photo sharing account for a while that I think is still at like 114,000 followers. It's just I never use it because we're busy.
Yeah.
But I've been doing that since I was like 14 or 15, so I've got quite a few years, and especially when you're younger, you're picking things up quicker. So I've got quite a few years of experience in terms of Instagram stuff. And it's just fun, honestly. It's a really fun way to market a company.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that military history page with a substantial amount of followers. I know you're a busy man, but those like theme pages are like kind of becoming more and more of a thing in terms of being able to make money from Instagram. I don't know. You might need to look into that and like start, marketing your stuff on there and reach a different audience. Just a thought. I'm sure you've thought of that, but
we have.
Yeah, I tried it a little bit. But I think there was a point where I took like a year off from posting on there at all. So when I came back and was like, hey, I have a company now, you guys should go check it out, people were just like, okay, you're using your platform to shill for your company. I was like,
yeah.
not really what it is. I mean, I'm just like a dude. So I kind of stepped away from that, and like I'll just post something that I think is cool with.
And I think
there's a balance for sure that you have to attain with that, because if you come out and immediately say, hey, I've got a company, like people will call you out like they did, but if you like intersperse your promotions with your regular content, I think that's a little bit of a safer way to do it. But
yeah, and that account too, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but we did have some issues too a little bit, because we did try to market a little bit through there and expand the community through that one as well. We did have some issues just with the being that he took some time off. It was kind of shadow ban almost, that even when we were posting regular content, it just didn't drive the engagement that it would, it should have, as along with gaining followers. If anything, we were just kind of staying net neutral, even when we started posting a lot more versus not posting. It really just didn't do much.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that account, but it's broken.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, Instagram's weird like that. Like, there's no one knows the rules. Like, legitimately, no one knows the rules. Even the people at Instagram don't even know the rules. It's its own monster.
No, I'm quite confused because I know our account for the company. Oh, we just got a note from a customer. We have a live chat on our website so people can ask us questions. We just got a note from someone whose name is D's Nuts, and they just messaged us, "Fuck you."
Bastards.
Funny though. I love that live chat feature. But yeah, Instagram is weird. I know that with our Americana Pipedream account, the mix of memes, interesting photos, and then just straight up marketing material does really, really well. And I can't speak to the specifics of why or whether there's an algorithm thing at play or what, but I remember, I think it was about a year and a half ago, we hit like 10,000 followers, and now we're at like 50 something. And I can't really explain that growth in such a short time other than consistency and putting effort in.
I think the videos too help quite a bit with the account too, because we started double posting where we post our TikToks, then also post them to Instagram as well. And the algorithm has changed too a lot with that. I know with Instagram Reels and whatnot, it's shifted greatly with that, and that's helped us too quite a bit. So
because with Reels, like, it's, you don't have to be following someone to see that reel. It's driven out to a wider audience, more eyeballs are getting on it. So
yeah, and that's definitely been responsible for a lot of the big upticks in growth we've seen the past couple of months, which is awesome because that means our content is palatable, good, people can enjoy it and learn something and maybe even want to buy something. So
so you started out in your parents', was it basement, garage, was when you really started bringing in a bunch of surplus?
That was not only my parents' basement but also my room, because I left college and one of my siblings took the room that I had and just put me in the basement because I didn't think I would be coming back for a while. So I was kind of running the company out of there for, what was it, almost a full year and
almost
a couple
a year
months.
Yeah, it got to a point when we ended up, when we decided we needed a building, actually, because it was kind of at the time where everything before a lot of the war and whatnot's going on, but with Ukraine and whatnot in the housing market and everything's kind of settled down a little bit. But it was right at that peak, like everything was very expensive, commercial properties are very expensive, and we kind of needed to get out of your basement. Like it was to the point where like it was unbearable. Like he could, I wouldn't have been able to live like he was living.
We were stacking boxes. We were stacking boxes of inventory literally floor to ceiling and still didn't have enough room.
Basically around his bed as well.
It was not good, but I will say this: you got to do what you got to do for the grind.
Yeah,
dude, you're literally in the trenches there. That's awesome. In a couple of years, when you've gotten your own warehouse or bought your own land or whatever, you're gonna look back and be like, man, it all started right around my bed.
It'll be so worth it. I mean, it already has been. So like, whatever sacrifices you got to do to see that stuff succeed, I think it's worth it.
I appreciate the fact that you guys have taken I guess not the route of drop shipping per se, but a lot of these, internet money people, try and make it the easiest way possible. And a lot of it works for some people, but in the older ways of e-com, like what you guys are doing, are still incredibly and perfectly viable. And I appreciate the fact that you guys basically just said, let's send it. And you guys didn't, take the time to make the plan, like to line up all the distributors, all that stuff beforehand. You're just like, all right, we're going to start with this and we're going to go with it. And now look at you.
Yeah, it was definitely a very go with the flow thing, because we're always open to new stuff. And honestly, the more traction we've gained, the more we've been able to bring in really cool and interesting things. Like for example, this past February, we donated, I think it was 5,000 bandages that went into a couple thousand IFACs that got sent to the front line in Ukraine. And this was like right at the beginning. So this was like before they were getting, massive stimulus packages every other day. But for example, that little thing that we did brought in the guys who sold us the Omani DPM. So they pick up on that. They shoot you an email or something, and then there's a whole new opportunity just waiting for you to take advantage of it. And that kind of just snowballs. The more that you do,
the platforms, especially like Instagram, TikTok, all of that has really also helped with us being able to network and get our name out there, even in other countries. And it has allowed us, like Logan said, to bring in some really cool stuff, and is continuing to bring in some really cool stuff, which has been awesome.
Yeah, like I'll drop a little tiny hint of something we've got coming early next year. Bundeswehr field rations. I believe, did we get that through social media, that lead?
No, we actually did not.
Okay,
not. That was I found him through eBay.
It's not a perfect example, but we'll get cool and interesting stuff that we haven't really seen on the market anywhere else.
The Yugo Man was from the Yugo Man hit us up. We were getting some cool Yugoslavia before we're completely out of the helmets. We're trying to get some cool like old Yugoslavia police uniforms, some army uniforms in. And that guy hit us up through seeing some of the Yugo advertisements through TikTok. So
wow.
Yeah. So the more you do, the more you put out there, the more interesting people with interesting stuff will hit you up, which is fantastic. It's one of my favorite parts.
That's wild. How did you get your hands on the Russian meals? Is that something you feel comfortable talking about?
That's fine, because there was actually, I'm not sure if people will have heard of him because he's from Canada. But Misty Mountain Supply, he hooked us up with those because he was getting them for a while. And we actually published this story out there, so it's out there for people to find if they want to see it. But there was this Russian army supply clerk who's a lieutenant, and I don't know his name or anything, so there's no personal information that'll rat him out to people. But the way Misty told me the story was this guy hit him up as a supply clerk and was just like, "Hey, I have this connection to this factory that manufactures the Russian army's rations, and I would rather them go to Canada than to Ukraine. So I'm just going to slip them out the back door," is the phrase that he used, "and sell them to you instead." And Misty kind of cut us in on that deal a little bit. To be fair, Misty's side of it was a lot smoother than ours because Canada's customs don't really care as much about things that come from Russia. But we ended up getting a lot of those opened and just tossed in the garbage by customs. So that's kind of why we haven't seen them back again. But it was super cool to get them for a little bit until US Customs was like, "You're silly, you shouldn't do that."
Did they give you guys like an official like PP slap letter, or was it just like it didn't show up?
Not really, because the Russians had this really weird way of getting it past the Russian military. They packaged them all individually and shipped them all in individual envelopes. So we didn't get a big shipment of them all at once. They trickled in for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. And the reasoning they got thrown out was there is a ban on certain meat imports, like raw and even cooked meat, from Russia due to, I guess, I can't remember what virus it was, but they had a claim virus or whatever, and that you could not import certain meats. And basically, most foods. So they would throw out all the canned, anything with meat in the description or anything, they would take it out, and then they'd send us the rest of the ration without the meat in it, which was kind of useless.
So we'd end up getting like plastic spoons, napkins, tea, and like apple jam and crackers.
Lots of crackers. We actually still have quite a bit of crackers, I think.
But the apple jam was definitely the best part of those rations. They were actually really, really good, surprisingly.
Interesting. The old warehouse crackers, dude. You can have them for the rest of the time you guys are there.
We lived on those for a little bit.
Yes, we did.
Grind doesn't sleep. Grind doesn't stop. We're just gonna eat crackers and fill orders and order surplus.
Basically.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It was fun.
That apple jam was good.
It was very good.
I'd do a lot of things to get more of that apple jam.
On speed.
Would you go to Ukraine?
Ooh, that's a good.
I don't know if I'd do that.
Yeah, it's funny. We've had some Ukrainians hit us up and try to sell us things at like really exorbitant prices, and I'm like, dude, I get it, you need the money, but it's not worth that.
Yeah, it's one thing to they should be targeting private collectors instead of like a business who's trying to actually make a buck. Because like if you had to buy it at an exorbitant price and mark it up, like ain't no one buying it.
And I'm not gonna ask our customers to pay those prices.
Yeah.
That would just be ridiculous.
Yeah. So you did have some like cool one-off pieces. I remember a couple months back that came through. Is it just like other private individuals selling you these things, or is it still coming through your wholesaler
For
or
the most
wholesalers?
part, for the most part, that's just like miscellaneous personal connections that we've made. Usually wholesalers or like bigger established companies tend to just stay away from that because it complicates inventory and import process and sorting and all that stuff that they don't really have time to work through. But given the limited availability of that kind of stuff, we kind of stepped away from it for the same reason, just because our warehouse is small. We don't have the space to sort and store all that inventory properly. So we kind of just stepped away from it for the most part. But if there's something really cool that someone hits us up and is like, hey, I have this and it can be verified and it's not a scalper price, we will definitely take it, because you're only going to see that kind of thing once. Might as well take it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say we've struggled a lot too. We did get some miscellaneous bins from one of our wholesalers that one time, and we ended up sending a lot of it to a store called Covey Surplus. And Covey is an awesome guy. He's one of our friends slash competitors, I guess. But he's helped us a lot with that, because what ended up happening is we're so busy, and with the amount of space that we have, it's very hard if we have to individually sort 100 items versus those 100 items could just go in one bin and be all the same item. And we ended up, half the stuff I think sat in a corner because we just didn't have the space in our room. And then we ended up just selling it to Covey, and Covey thankfully took it. Just because it's a pain to deal with all those individual things. And if there's something broken or worn too, making the description, listing it, it's like doing an eBay listing, for each.
Yeah. It's just not worth the effort.
True. That makes a lot of sense. What's your both of this is a question for both of you. What's your favorite piece of surplus you guys have brought in that you maybe use on a daily basis or a regular basis? Or give me one that you use more regularly and one that you've acquired that's just kind of like super cool.
Yeah. So one that's super practical and just straight up comfy. I mean, I know you have one, is the French fleece.
Yeah.
Badass, like just so warm, so comfy, and they're cheap too.
So I was gonna I have my that's a Milton thing. I just wear it because it is super comfy. Just throw it around home. It's like a nice little sweatshirt without the hood. So
that's definitely my favorite in terms of practicality. But in terms of drip, I'm gonna have to go with Irish DPM. It's just so cool, and it's really durable. Like I have one pair of Irish DPM pants that I just wear all the damn time because they're really comfy. They have a shit ton of pockets, and I don't know, something about Irish Army gear is just top notch.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Aiden.
No, you're good. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
I was just gonna say like the forbidden Irish SERP.
Yeah. The Irish have not been too happy with us sometimes.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's growing. Our name is definitely known in Ireland though. So if we ever go there, I can bring up our brand. I'm sure someone would have heard. I definitely like, though, I was just gonna say I definitely like a lot of the camo pants. Like I have some British DPM, I have the Swedish MO9 camo pants, just for like daily wear, because those intertwine really good with just like daily fits that you can wear too. That doesn't look like, I don't know.
It doesn't look obnoxious.
Yeah, it's very subtle and looks more professional and kind of is a trending, at least among our generation, a little bit. That's definitely, and they're comfy too. I love them. They're better than jeans in my opinion. So
nice. Yeah, hopefully you guys don't have like the IRA showing up at the warehouse. Start checking your cars underneath for the old sneaky car bomb, dude.
Oh god. No, thankfully we've never interacted with them, and I never would care to.
I feel like the IRA probably wouldn't care as much as like the official Irish government.
No, the Irish government, I will say they're really nice. I'm not going to talk shit about them because at the end of the day, they've got a job to do, and I completely understand. But some of them can have a little bit of a stick up their ass, and it's not my prerogative to tell them what to do with their military's goods, which but I think it would be really nice if instead of throwing it in the garbage or something, we paid them for it so they could maybe buy like new augs or some shit like that. Because I don't know, they could always use money, and we could always use Irish DPM. If you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
it's a waste to hear about that stuff. I know that when we'd get like new issued pouches at RIF, Ranger Issuing Facility, like our special like issuing facility and regiment, we'd like go and turn stuff in, and like they'd like literally just throw it in the trash in front of us, and we're like, why did I give it to you? Why couldn't you just let me keep it and you give me the new stuff? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's policy. I'm like, man, that's so dumb. It was so frustrating because you get like attached to like certain pouches that were like performed really well, or just worked really good for a number of reasons, and then like we switched over to new pouches, and it's just like, I know these pouches are going to wholesalers. Like, just let us keep it. Like, we're the end user. Like, I don't know. So maybe that's a look at the surplus thing from our side, the
Yeah, and
military side.
a lot of governments too, especially in the last like 5 years, have stopped or not allowed lately for their gear to be surplused out. So we're starting to see a lot of different, especially the German stuff is the most popular right now. It's starting to dry out pretty heavily, and it's pretty hard to get a lot of that stuff in. And when we get it in, the batches too are not as a lot of more of the stuff happens to be damaged than we used to see. And it's just dwindling out, which is really sad to see because I mean, all that there's that surplus is still either getting burned or stored somewhere, and it's just going to sit there and rot away.
Yeah.
Which is very sad to see. But
yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a combination of the culture of those countries that stuff is coming from, and then whatever the people at the top, especially in the logistics procurement kind of side, think about, having their issue gear on the civilian market. Because I know a big deal with the German Bundeswehr specifically was their Flecktarn ending up in the Donbass before the current war, and a lot of wearing it were kind of more aligned with politics that the Bundeswehr really prefers to have nothing at all to do with. So they were kind of just like, all right, we're just going to turn off the surplus flow, and we're just going to get rid of it because we don't want anything falling into the hands of people who might make us look bad.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, governments have a lot of different reasons why they do things, and they might not be super apparent, but that makes a lot of sense hearing that.
Yeah.
Has the war in Ukraine really affected surplus availability? Have you noticed, or is it just has it affected it at all, or do you see it not drying up?
I would say it has, in some departments more than others. I know last year, for example, we could get Kevlar helmets out of Poland or Slovakia or any number of those Eastern NATO countries all day. Like we could grab a ton of those whenever we wanted.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. Especially when it comes to surplus helmets, surplus body armor, surplus medical gear. That stuff is like borderline impossible to find now, just because people are sending it as aid. Like, they would rather donate it to Ukraine than put it onto the private market, which is totally understandable.
And a lot of governments too are stockpiling their stuff just in case, and that's why they've stopped. Especially like the last couple of years, it's just been harder to find new surplus items just because they're keeping it now. Whether that's for the future or what, with what's going on with the war, but it has affected the market definitely in some ways, not completely, but
there's still a lot of really good stuff out there, and that just means we have to look harder. Like it's not like it's not going to be available, it's just more difficult to get. And especially with gas availability in Europe, I'd say that's had just as big, if not a bigger effect on the logistics of it, just because when it might have been half or a quarter of the cost to ship a bunch of stuff over here, now it's much higher. And with that, costs have gone up for people who import it and also for the people who transport and purchase it from governments. So that's really been a little tougher than, let's say, like donations to Ukraine for the war effort or something like that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Do you guys have a plan for, let's say, surplus, basically dries up in like 2 years, 3 years? What's your guys's? Do you have a plan to navigate from that, or is it kind of just a, if it happens, it happens?
Yeah, I mean, with the industry that we're in, we've always got that in the back of our minds. I mean, I know that Aiden's done a really good job at kind of preparing the company for it, because surplus wasn't really always our main focus, so we'd always kind of thought of different things that we could do. But now that we've kind of become known as an apparel kind of company, where most of the stuff we sell is surplus jackets, pants, that kind of thing, we're going to try to move more into original apparel that we can manufacture ourselves, be that here in the US or wherever else is both convenient and ethical.
As along with gear too. And that's why our work jacket too, to emphasize, bring that up again, is very important for us, because we want to make sure that our company will have a solid foot if for some reason that surplus were to drive up, and that, being that it is a majority part of our business, would definitely hurt us in a very negative way if that were to happen. But we are definitely, and that's why we're trying to intertwine to just get in to make sure that it's more industries than just like the surplus industry, that you can use not just surplus, but our gear and what we sell for the outdoors, whether that's hiking, whether that's snowmobiling, whether that's skiing, fishing, or even just hanging with the family outdoors or whatnot. And that's a big thing where we want to try to really emphasize that our gear is also there too, in case, that were to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, especially in the next year or two, I think that's going to come along with making a lot more connections in the hunting and camping and fishing and just outdoor sports industries. And I'm super excited for that, because before surplus, that was something that both of us were really, really into. And, now that we're working, we don't have as much time for it, but, that's something we really want to try to get into, just to allow people to have the gear and whatever else they might need to go out and enjoy their hobbies.
Yeah.
I love it. So what's your guys' 5-year goal or 5-year plan then?
Oh boy. The next step, I think, and of course, it's subject to change because things are always changing. And I'm thinking 2023 might be a little more volatile in terms of economic things. But next big step that we're both really looking forward to is going to be a bigger building. Because right now, it's a little bit of a struggle working in the space that we've got. It's kind of reached the same point that we got to when we were out of my basement. So 10,000 to 20,000 square feet, something like that would be real nice right about now, so we can properly sort. We have room for marketing. We have, room for everything else we would need in the normal course of operations, which, that's the next big goal, is new warehouse.
Yeah, because it being that the space constraints / not having, for how much time we spend in the warehouse, it's really important that we have the availability to be able to market where we are or where we're working. Because for instance, if we were to have a building or like an office somewhere else where we would have to go to market and then come back to the warehouse to finish our job, that just adds, a bunch of time, and it doesn't really work out that well. And since we've been growing, we had to take down our photo shoot booth, basically our set where we used to do like the Balaclava Man book reads and whatnot, and which we really like that stuff. It's just we don't have the room for it. And I will say it's also been, it's kind of impeded to our progress. So we wanted to also start our own podcast, as long as we get our YouTube channel going, which we started to post a little bit on the short side, but not like the actual videos. And that comes down to just not having the space and the land to be able to do some of the stuff that we want to do.
Yeah, that's tough work. Yeah. 2,500 square feet sounds like a lot until you've got, 15 different pallets of stuff showing up at once, and you're just like, man.
Yeah, that's about right. Because like where the photo booth used to be, there are now
a stack of 3 giant
there's 3 cartons full of Flecktarn parkas. So.
It's the Flecktarn parka wall.
Yeah, basically. So just trying to navigate the space constraints and the incredible growth, which we're honestly blessed to have. Like I honestly could not be more thankful. So
it's an absolutely good problem to have.
Yep.
Figuring out, I wonder how many other 20-year-olds are in the US right now worrying about warehouse space.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to meet some of those guys because I'd like to know what they're thinking in terms of
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that there's, the good way to do e-com is to, establish a reputable supplier and then just, bulk ship stuff into the US instead of onesie twosie shipping from China. But I'm sure that there's dudes out at least close to 20 that are having the same problems, but there's probably only like, two or three in the entirety of the US. So unique problems to have, and you guys are learning a lot.
Yeah,
you guys are just figuring it out on the fly and doing it trial by fire style, which a lot of people are scared to do for whatever reason. Like they just have it in their head that they have to plan and plan and plan and have every puzzle piece basically lined up right before they start taking any action. And that's why I like y'all. You guys just jumped right into it and you're like, we're gonna do it, and you guys are doing it.
Basically, yeah. It was basically it's pretty much just one really long and drawn out let's fucking go moment.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah,
that's a way to put it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Definitely learning a lot every single day, and gratitude, friends, family. That's really what we're all about here. So as long as we got those three things going for us and that's in our corner, I'm confident that we're going to be able to do a lot with what we've been given, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And I just want to chime in too on at least, from where we are and how fast we've been able to grow. I'd like to say a lot of it is deemed, we are a business at heart. But however, before we are a business, we are a community. And it's been a little bit harder to engage with our community one-on-one, especially with Instagram DMs. We used to respond to almost every Instagram DM. Now it's very here or there just because of how many we get. But being able to, and our community is quite interesting. But the group of people that are in our community love a lot of the same activities as one each other and what we like to do in the outdoors. And whether that's hiking, just hanging outside, hunting, looking at guns, whatever, whatever that may be. Our group is really stuck together and really follows what we like. And I think that the fact that we all have something in common, and that we can all relate to one each other and then also sell cool products to them to help enrich our community's lives is really helped us along the way. And I'd say a lot of our customers, I would hope, feel the same way. Because that's what at least my goal is to always look at us as like we are a community before, we are a business as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. A lot of people get into business with the opposite kind of goal in mind, where it's just like, oh, let me make a quick buck. But that's how you don't grow as fast that way. In the long run, you don't grow as fast. You want to establish that solid customer relationship and overall increase your customer's lifetime value. And you end up making more that way anyways. And it's a win on both sides. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's run about an hour, and I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. So let the people know where they can find y'all.
Yeah. Instagram, Americana.Pipedream. TikTok, same thing. Obviously website, AmericanaPipedream.com.
Twitter now too.
Oh yeah, we're on
Twitter now. Yeah. I think, what is our Twitter? It's just
it's AMER Pipedream, because for some reason Americana Pipedream was already taken, or like it was too long of a username or some stupid something. But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then of course you've got our website and mailing list, which I definitely recommend, especially since you the emails.
Well, thank you. And I'll make sure those are all linked down in the description below, and I'll let you guys know when this goes live. But appreciate y'all for coming on, taking the time out of your Sunday here, before the start of another work week to come on the podcast. I think
thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people will really enjoy this. I need to come next time I'm traveling around. I might need to drop into Wisconsin. You guys are a reason to come visit Wisconsin. Sorry to say that's about the only thing.
Pick up some cheese,
draw me there,
bacon, and stop by the warehouse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All righty.
On Zach.
Y'all take care.
Take care, Zach. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.